Hi everyone, my name is RPO Sepien and I'm the English Language Arts Content Specialist for Sequoia Grove Charter Alliance. Today we're on part 2 of our English workshop on how to effectively answer the performance task essay question on the CASP test. As you remember from our part 1 episode, we're really looking at how to accurately to respond to this question and using different methods to help us in that pursuit. Today, I'm going to talk about the RACES method to help write your response. We're going to identify ways to use source material. And again, we're continue to practice in order to improve our performance on the exam. So let's recap. Last time we remember the performance task question for the essay really helps evaluate student comprehension on a series of articles on the same topic. Again, students are going to be asked to respond using these articles in a specific writing task. In our previous video, we talked about the importance of identifying the role, audience, format, topic, and standards, and I walk through step by step on how to identify that. So now that we have the task at hand, we know our role as a volunteer intern, we're audience is the library board of directors. The format is that argumentative letter. The topic is whether or not the library should purchase that 3D printer for general public use. And again, the standards we need is a multi-paragraph argumentative letter with claim, sources, and counter arguments. So let's use that wonderful race car and try this method. Races is a method that's used frequently in writing situations like this where you're under really pressure to produce content that you don't have that much time to process through. Ordinarily, in a classroom setting, your teacher will assign you an essay, and you might have some time, maybe a week or two, to actually work through it, edit it, and turn it in. In a timed writing situation, races is a wonderful strategy to use because it gets your engine going, pardon the pun, and it gets you ready to make it to that finish line. The R in races stands for restate the question. A is answering the question. C is cite the evidence. E is explain the evidence. And S is sum it up. If you like, you can pause this video and maybe take a picture of this or write down the abbreviation. And when you get a essay question like this on test day, you can easily put that acronym down on a sheet of paper and get going. So let's practice that. For R, the restate the question in this situation, we know that we're a library intern and we're being asked, do you support or oppose the acquisition of a 3D printer for use by the general public? Why or why not? Okay, so we already planted that idea in our mind in the first video. Now we have to answer it. So a possible answer that you could give is, although the library is a great place to learn about technology, there is no need for ours to have a 3D printer. It is not what the library is supposed to be based around. Now, you might notice in this one, they have a 2-sentence answer to the question. That's okay because the people grading this exam understand that you're trying your best to get your thoughts out, and it's really just your preliminary thesis that you have. Then citing the evidence. Again, here you have to get really, really specific. Let's read the example. As stated by Mission Creep, a 3D printer will not save your library by Hugh Rundle. Tying your library to something like a 3D printer moves you in the wrong direction. It leads you to the tangible. That's not your job. Now, notice in this student example, there's a signal phrase, as stated by. I would have been happier if they had a comma, but that's okay. And they have the title of the article. Okay, so you've got that. You're going to find that quote, you're going to have that signal phrase, and you're going to go ahead and write the title. Okay, it's okay for your evidence sentence to be long and wordy like this because that's what they're asking for. So give them what they're asking for. Next one is explain the evidence. In some ways, a 3D printer can seem necessary, but in reality, it has no place in a library. We are not a manufacturing company or Walmart. A library is a place of learning, not printing out simple things that will not benefit people intellectually. Well said. So this student author is really trying to go back to the first section that they had here, was citing the evidence, saying, don't put these printers in your library. That's not what libraries were intended for. They're a place of learning and reading. And so in the explain the evidence, this student is elaborating on it, trying to say, don't compare us to a Walmart, don't compare us to a manufacturing company. A library is a place of learning and no need to have that printer in there. And then to sum it up, they put, to conclude, the 3D printer is virtually useless in our library. It will stifle creativity, give a bad reputation to the library, and point us into the wrong direction for the future. With this printer, we would waste money and time. Wow. Okay, so notice the S in the RACES is echoing back what was said in the R. So remember the restating the question, do you support or oppose having this printer? In the S, they're really trying to convince us that there's no need to have this printer in our library because libraries essentially are a place for books in the mind of this author. Now, again, I sped through this because I wanted to articulate how this method is used. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to actually write the entire argumentative letter, but I want to place the idea in your mind with this abbreviation RACES. It's showing you how fast and quick these can be. I know the reading is intense. I have another video on how to approach pulling out the source material and the evidence. But really for this, you're just getting your ideas out, you're answering that question specifically, and please, please, please cite the evidence. In some of the student examples I'm going to show in the next video, not having evidence isn't going to be a good thing to do. Without that evidence, you're not going to get the grade that you deserve. And again, just putting a quote is not enough. Just as a student did, they had the quote here, tying your library to something like a printer would lead us in the wrong direction. They didn't just put the quote, they went further to explain it. So I would teach my students that whenever you have a quote, for every quote or a piece of evidence, try to have 2 sentences of elaboration or explaining it. Even though it might seem crystal clear to you that, no way, you don't want a 3D printer in the library, but the person reading your essay doesn't know that. So you do need to elaborate. And sometimes for students, you guys get tired and you just want to finish the test. Don't race to finish. You really need to take the time, elaborate, and you'll see in the next video how that small little change in your writing is going to make a big difference. With that, I do want to thank everyone for watching this video. Again, my name is RPO Seppian, and if you need any help or have questions about reading, writing, or just want me to review some of your work, please feel free to email me, and I'm always cheering you on to the finish line. Take care, everyone, and thanks for listening.